Oh good, the phrenology had made it in one piece. Welcome back to part 2 of our episode, and we will now continue with our interview with Morning Glory and Oberon Zell.
My name is Morning Glory Zell, and I'm a priestess of the Church of All Worlds. I've been ordained for nearly 30 years. I am a witch and proud of it, and I am a goddess historian, and the great passion of my life has been learning all that I can about goddesses, both ancient and modern, and bringing the knowledge and the lore and the magic of the goddess back into this world in this time and age. And I think that the future is what we have to work towards always. While we keep our roots in the past, the future is what we have to work for.
I'm Oberon Zell Ravenheart, if you take the full clan name, and I'm a wizard, and I'm a priest of the Church of All Worlds, a priest of Gaia, Mother Earth, and lots of other interesting things in a long and colorful career. And more than anything else, I'm the partner and husband and life mate of Morning Glory, which is the most special thing in the world to me. And my work is, well, comparable to hers in that sense. We're so total partners in everything. It's always funny what one of us says, the other one could virtually say too. But my passion is also in restoring the continuity of the ancient ways and the ancient lore and the ancient mysteries and all of these things that have been, the world has been bereft of through millennia of dominions, of hostile agencies, you know. And so much has been lost, but it's possible to rediscover it. I feel that searching and reconstructing the ancient ways is like being a paleontologist, you know, that if you can, if you're really good at what you're doing and you really understand it, you can find a few bones and you can put them together to figure out, okay, this makes a foot, and the foot looks like this, and this foot has claws. Well, this means it's got to be a carnivore, and you can keep on going until you can reconstruct the entire animal from a few bones. And we are reconstructing our heritage from the bones that are folklore, songs, superstitions, mysteries, myths, legends, you know, symbols. But all these are the keys and the elements. These are like the bones of the prehistoric dragons, you know, that we are recreating the mysteries with. And that's our work. We're bringing it back. And we're trying to create a world where the gods may once again participate in the affairs of humans and restoring that partnership. We're working to restore the unity of all of humanity and of all life, which has been greatly severed. And that's our work, bringing it all back together.
Lady Morning Glory, you were talking about being a goddess historian, and I was wondering if you'd like to say a few things about mythic images and how these two things interact in your life.
Good story.
Ah, yes, thereby hangs a tale. My passion for being a goddess historian goes back from the time I was probably about 14, I would say, 13 or 14. And I got introduced to the Greek myths by Edith Hamilton, you know, and I was just fascinated by it. And so I started being really interested in this whole idea of goddesses. And from there on, it just has kind of grown as time has changed, and I have changed, and I started collecting images of goddesses from all over the world and throughout history, and I started giving lectures and teaching about it, and traveling to different pagan conventions and women's gatherings and bookstores and all that kind of thing, and doing teaching at college campuses and whatnot. And from that experience, my goddess collection kept getting bigger and bigger, and you know, I got them from they weren't like archaeological, you know, one of a kinds. I don't do that. Those go to a museum. I don't want them, you know. But reproductions of all kinds. I get them from everywhere, from really, really, really fine quality museum replicas to flea markets, you know. And my collection got around 50 or 60 pieces, and I was traveling and teaching. And then I was also working full time at the time in a hospital laboratory, and trying to support the family while Oberon was getting the green egg up and running again. And my weekends, I would go out and fly to Georgia or fly to New Jersey or wherever to teach about the goddess. And always people would say to me, "Oh, this is such a wonderful statue. Where can I get one?" And it's like, I got it at a flea market, or I got it, someplace. Often what would happen is if I wanted to make a particular point, but there weren't any available figures, Oberon would go, "Oh, I can make that." And so he'd sit down and he'd take the Sculpey and start sculpting, and he would create this beautiful, incredible piece. And it would be the perfect Venus of Willendorf, or the perfect Anatolian, Rhea, or whatever it was that I was trying to create, and he would make the piece. So people started asking, where can I get one? And it's like, well, this is a one-of-a-kind piece that Oberon made. Before much longer, some friends of ours had said, "You know what? We'd like to make a business that would take these statues, and I'll figure out," the guy said, "I'll figure out a way to reproduce them, and then we can start making them, and then we'll sell them." And I said, "Great. Then, I can go around to workshops and stuff, and then I can say, here's the card, you guys can get them there." It's like, it never occurred to me really that we would do this. It was that these friends of ours would. Well, their marriage fell apart. The business fell apart. And I found myself basically working a 9 to 5, well, actually more like a 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. job on hard concrete exposed to toxic chemicals. And after 2 years of it, my health began to fail, my back began to unload, and I thought to myself, I got to get out of here, and the goddess provided. And so they came with a person who was better qualified, and they laid me off. And I went off and I took over this business, and I put it all together, and I birthed Mythic Images. And so I took Oberon's beautiful statuary and turned it into marketing. And then he started working on me, teaching me to sculpt, and I started sculpting pieces of my own, and that's how Mythic Images came to be.
Wonderful. I'd like to say that you, and I'm referring to both of you, are among, I think, a relatively few members of our community who understand how important it is to have business, for want of a better way to put it. I was wondering if you would say anything perhaps to people who might like to be doing, for want of a better way to put it, pagan business, what they should consider.
Well, that's a lot of times people say, well, I would like to be just like you, and I try to say, no, you really don't, really. This is not easy to get here. You should try to be just like you and figure out what that is. And this has been a real struggle. We have spent many years just hand to mouth with barely subsistence stuff, and not something I would recommend to anybody. And we work very hard, and we're very creative, and we're very productive, but we are not business people. We're artists, and we're creative people. If somebody really wants to get a business, they should team up with somebody who's a business person, and that's what we did that enabled us to take this from doing what she was talking about, little workshops and making stuff in our kitchen and fiddling around and playing and not making any real money, you can't pay the rent on that stuff, you can kind of, to having Wolf come and join us. We found a business partner who understood about business. He said, I'm going to turn this into a business, and I'm going to set up bookkeeping, and I'm going to set up systems, and I'm going to set up a website, and I'm going to set up marketing things. And we had no clue about any of that stuff. So really, if you're going to do a business, you've really got to find people who know about business. It's not the same. You can't just walk into it.
And it needs to be somebody that you can trust, you know, because we were very fortunate. And that we had partners that, or a partner, or you know, that were very trustworthy and you know, did the right thing all the way down the line, and we all had a lot of fun doing it. And but other people that we know have gotten themselves into situations where either the artists have gotten shafted by the situation, or the business people have ended up with the short end of the stick, or there's just a falling out and who knows what happened.
Well, so much of this stuff is like being a successful rock and roll band. The secret is staying together long enough to make it. Eventually you will. If you keep doing it, you will get better at what you keep doing. There's an inevitability about that. But if you give up, or you quit, or the band breaks up, or the marriage breaks up, then it's kind of dead in the water, and you got to start from scratch. And sometimes you only get so many starts before you run out of stuff to start with.
Right.
So we've had each other, and that's been an important thing. You know,
has.
I don't think we could have done this without each other, and we certainly couldn't have turned it into a business without Wolf, and we couldn't keep it going without the various people who have joined with us in the project and signed on and says, I really like what you're doing, I want to be part of it. And we have had bad experience. We've had people that have you know, burned us in various ways for various reasons that, you know, who can speculate, you know? Probably everybody thought they were doing the right thing at the time. But it wasn't necessarily, you know, matching what we needed at the time. It's tricky. It really is. And I don't know what to say. It would be nice if you could have unlimited funding. It's the advantage of going to work for somebody else. You can count on getting a paycheck. If you work for yourself, you can't count on that, really. But ultimately, right livelihood is, I think, a worthy goal to work for. And the earlier you can start off by developing what your talent is, what your skill is, finding something that is your passion and that you're really good at, and then just throwing yourself into it. And the earlier you can figure this out, then the better your chances are, you know. If we'd figured out decades ago that our destiny was to do what we're doing now, we might have got an earlier start on it. But we're very happy with what we are doing now, and we have finally reached a point where, you know, we're able to survive on this and getting better and better. It's wonderful.
When everybody was always, what are you going to be when you grow up? What are you going to be when you grow up? Well, I was 40 years old, and I looked around and realized, okay, I am now grown up. So what am I going to be? And the answer was, well, you already are a priestess. But it was like, well, how can I support myself doing that?
Right.
And the world has now caught up with us so that indeed we can support ourselves doing the thing that we love the most. But you got to know business. And that's where it hurts. Sometimes people feel that if they can only just love what they do enough, that all the details will work themselves out, and it's not like that. If you really only want to love what you do and not have to pay attention to the details, and you're not wealthy, and you don't have a business partner, then consider getting a regular job that pays well and doing what you love to do around the edges of it. You'll do better, because then if you get a regular job, then you'll be doing what you enjoy doing with the job, and that will support you. So there's a lot of different ways to follow your bliss, and it isn't all together only about, oh, let's go and start a pagan business, you know. Wolf got asked this question, and he said, well, what do you suggest people do to start a pagan business? And he'd said, go and get your head examined first.
Definitely. Although looking around here at this incredible event, more and more people are being able to do this. We are, in fact, in a Renaissance era. the quality of the art and the music and the literature and the sheer beauty that is pouring forth is a true and glorious Renaissance era. And eventually, a thing like that does become self-sustaining as more and more people come to patronize it. And there are ways to do this. You can do shows, and you can have a store, and you can go to Renaissance fairs, and there are more and more venues opening up for ways in which one's creativity can be marketed. But you really do need the business thing. We just keep saying that over and over because
Okay.
it isn't something we ever got training in. But I feel, from a wizardly perspective, people often ask me for advice, and one of the things that often comes up in that regard is that the really important thing in life is to find out what it is you're really here for. Really, that's the wizard there, you know. And if you can find out what you're here for and then be doing that, so you feel all the time, this is what I was born for. This is what everything I have learned is so I can do this. Everything that I've done is to bring me to this place, and this is why I'm here. Then you will be fulfilled, and you will be happy. And there's a million ways to do that. I mean, whether it's, your entire life is so you can go fishing on the river, like Maureen Glory's father's. That was what, more than anything else, that's what he was here for. Or whether it's what we're doing here, that's the thing one has to find.
Well, that's our show for this week, and I hope that you've enjoyed it. We'll see you again next week, and until then, may you blessed be.